Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here at Stone Mountain today shooting some videos for our YouTube channel and our website for next week. We'll be talking a lot about these changes with FHA and all this other stuff, but I wanted to bring up an issue that we spoke with a customer about earlier. You saw one of my posts on Facebook, and that was when picking between the National Flood Insurance Program and private flood insurance. People will be surprised by my choice. So customer says, hey, I'm closing on this property in a couple weeks. These two quotes are pretty similar. Pretty much the same in price and coverage. If it was you, which one would you choose? So let's talk about primary residence first and secondary residence, or maybe which one I would choose. So let's talk about primary first, because this one might surprise you a little bit. So if these coverages are the same, we're not talking about any additional living expenses here, but simply same coverages, same pricing, I would probably choose the National Flood Insurance Program in this situation. Why, you may ask? Everyone's like, private's way better. Generally, there's two areas where private flood insurance is significantly better a lot of times, and that is when it comes to coverages and pricing. But if you take these two things out the window, who has the advantage here? And actually, the National Flood Insurance Program can. And let's talk about the claims process here, because this is really where they could be separated. You see, on the claims processes, if you don't like how a claim is going with the National Flood Insurance Program, you have 60 days to appeal the claim decision. Well, if you're dealing with a private company that is a non-admitted company, they follow different guidelines, and you may not have that opportunity to appeal that claim. You could just be stuck with what they come to determine. Now, there are certain things your agent can do, but it says in there about appealing this claims process. So this is one advantage you might have with the National Flood Insurance Program, is that claims appeal process. And in that situation where these things are basically the same, I'm probably choosing this on my primary residence. Now let's talk about secondary residence or a rental property like this situation was. So with a rental property, one thing that's going to be really important to me, if I have a rental property, I'm putting flood insurance on it, that's going to be loss of use. What is loss of use? Let's just say this investment or rental property floods. Where's the loss of rent going to come from? Thanks for tuning in, Joe. Loss of rent. It's not going to come from a National Flood Insurance Program policy. It's probably going to come from a private policy that offers loss of use. Now, is it going to have a separate deductible? Yes. But you see, this is where a lot of people get in trouble when they have a rental property and they don't have loss of use and it floods. They can't get those lost rents. This can drive a lot of people into bankruptcy. Going from 100% occupancy to zero, someone's still got to pay that mortgage if there is one on the property. So when it comes to a rental property, if it was me, what am I choosing? Well, if we're similar on coverages there, and we're similar on pricing, I'm probably going to choose a private policy, and I'll tell you why. That in many situations, a National Flood Insurance Program policy is not paying out replacement cost on a rental property or an investment property. It may only pay that out on a primary residence. You really got to pay attention to how this National Flood Insurance Program policy is written. You got to pay attention to how private's written. Does it meet the 80% rule, which means you've got to insure it for 80% of the replacement cost, or it could become an actual cash value policy. So these are some really important things to understand when you're picking this policy on a rental property and investment property. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. If it was me, what would I choose? Well, if it's a primary residence, I very well could choose that National Flood Insurance Program policy. But if it's a rental property, I'm probably choosing a private policy so I can get that replacement cost on contents inside the building, on the building, loss of use. These are all advantages of a private policy on a rental property. So remember, if you've got questions about all these things, jump over to our website, floodinsuranceguru.com. We've got our learning center there where we try to answer pretty much every question for you. You can find our podcast there. You can find our videos. You can even go to our YouTube channel, Flood Insurance Guru, where we do our daily flood education videos, and we have for the last 4 years. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope everyone has a great Thursday afternoon.